let me know in the chat if you can't hear me. But my name is Subratha. I'm a second year medical student at Nottingham, and this is the definitive guide clearing for 2025. So, it's just going to be a webinar of me talking through the process of clearing, some alternatives. We'll talk through everything, and then I'll save the last 10 minutes before 8 to have any questions that you guys can talk about. So, yeah, we'll go through that. So, I think people are still being let into the room, but I'll just start off now. Okay, so yeah, so just a little bit about me. Yeah, so as I said, I'm a second year medical student in Nottingham, so I'm about to start my third year this September. And I did a gap year applying to medicine. So I did I had to resit my chemistry A level. So went through the clearing process the first year, had some offers for other courses and other alternatives, but kind of was really set on doing a gap year. So ended up doing a gap year and then got into Nottingham University and I'm really liking it there. So that's a little bit about me. And I will talk a little bit more about my gap year experience and everything like that a bit later on. So, okay, so yeah, during this webinar, also, yeah, let me know in the chat if you can't hear me at any point. I'm in India at the moment as well, so there might be a bit of background noise. But so during this webinar, I'll be focused on four key areas. So, what is clearing and some of your clearing options, so how to approach that tomorrow because it's results day tomorrow. Gap year options, reapplication tips, and other alternatives and options for studies. So, abroad options, alternative allied healthcare courses, stuff like that. So, we'll be covering that today. So, yeah, just a little bit about Medic Mind, who brought this webinar. So, Medic Mind is essentially an organization that help with applying to medical school, dentistry, vet sciences. They do a lot of one-to-one tutoring. So, I'm also I'm part of that as a tutor. I do one-to-one tutoring. So, they do interview prep, UCAP prep, and some of you might know, like a lot of you might know and have used them already, but a lot of A-level prep and stuff like that. They also have some live classroom days, workshops, and that's just some of the stats they have here. So 93% of students receive at least one offer. So yeah, that's just a little bit about Medic Mind. So yeah, let's go into what clearing is. So clearing is matching university courses with places free with students who need a place. So on the results day, let's go back 1 second. Trying to get this up here. Let me just pin my screen 1 sec. Okay, so you guys can see me there. Okay, so clearing is matching university courses with places for you with students who need a place. So on results day tomorrow, whatever universities will have places open, it's just kind of matching those students who maybe don't meet the offer requirements or something like that. So yeah, that's tomorrow, A-level results day, 14th of August. And you can find clearing options on the UCAS website. So that's good. So who needs clearing? Students who changed their mind about the university offer, didn't meet the conditions of their offer, did not receive an offer. So for me, I didn't meet the conditions of my offer for my chemistry exam. So I ended up calling a couple of the medical schools and going through their clearing process. Something I'd really recommend as well is I made a list like a page of all the numbers of different universities and they're clearing online so I can like just go to it right away once I get my results. So either when you get your results in person or online, you want to make sure you like have those numbers ready rather than like spending the time to sort through online and look through all the numbers and stuff. So that was really useful for me. At the bottom here, it talks about mitigating circumstances. Contact the university immediately to discuss your offer. You may still be accepted. So this is also something I did actually because I had some personal circumstances I was dealing with in my application year. So I ended up, so when I'm going through clearing, like when you're calling them, you can let them know then that I had this circumstance. Is there any way that you can, give a different condition to your offer? Or I emailed a lot of universities as well, and sometimes they did give alternatives for other courses, and they give some leniency there. But definitely make that clear um, as soon as you go into the clearing process. Yeah. So clearing, can I get a place on any of these courses through clearing medicine, dentistry, and vet sciences? So they are very competitive in clearing, like it says. Um, so potential clearing options they've put this year: foundation year med courses at Lincoln, so that's near Nottingham, and Keele. Applied medical pathway at Swansea, med courses at Brighton, UCLN, Kent, and Bangor. International student only med at UCLN and Buckingham. Buckingham is also a private medical school to my knowledge, so make sure you check that because they have some fees you need to pay, like on top of your normal fees. So please check that. GM clearing at Chester. I also think this year Newcastle is doing clearing for medicine, and Queen Mary's in Malta is also doing them. I'm not sure about that, but definitely have a look, keep an eye out for that because I've heard some things about that. But yeah, so these are some alternatives because it's very, very rare to get medicine, dentistry, and vet sciences through clearing. So they do give you alternatives like these. When I was doing clearing, I got the applied med pathway Swansea one. So it was kind of, to my knowledge, it was doing another degree, like a biomedical degree, and then it integrates into medicine, but you have to clear an exam or something like that. But it was just something I didn't want at the time. But yeah, so there's lots of options like these. So make sure, like, write down those universities. When I said the list as well for all the numbers, put your I'd recommend anyway, put your offers, the uni you got offers from or the unis you applied to as the top ones, and then these kind of ones, put them next as well. Because the ones you applied for, they might give you some leniency. For example, if you need a triple A, you got AAB, they might give you some leniency maybe if you said that you'd already had an offer with them, compared to a medical school where you didn't even apply. And then these ones obviously offer alternatives, so make sure you're kind of calling up these ones as soon as possible because these places might go as well. Okay, places through clearing. So yeah, important to contact universities directly. So like I said, they normally have like a hotline, to make sure you write that down. And yeah, don't, like it says in the last point, no set script magic words, be yourself. Um, it is a very like emotional process. I remember when I did my clearing, it felt very like, especially if it's the A level offer you didn't get, it's kind of like all of a sudden you kind of have to be quick. So it is really like an emotional experience. I think just try and be calm, and yeah, don't rehearse your lines or anything like that. Just literally just state what happened, why you didn't meet the offer, why this happened, and then ask them, what options they can give to you, and try and be persistent as much as you can. Like I think sometimes when I was like online for like on the call for a long while is until I got like some alternative options. So yeah. And yeah, the first point as well, check previous years clearing universities for medicine dentistry. So like the previous slide, make sure to kind of keep these in mind when you're applying. And yeah, be patient as well. So many students are calling into clearing hotlines on the same day, the same time as you. So I remember being on the waiting list, like on the waiting line for so long. It takes a long, long time sometimes. So I'd have, if you can, have your friends or family like call up as well. So I had my mom and dad call up at the same time, like different universities. So whenever we got through to one, I would just take that call at that point. So I think that's actually a really good way of not wasting time because by the time you're on a wait line for one, it's very long. So maybe that's a good idea to keep in mind. So yeah. So these are some undergraduate options other than medicine that are often offered during clearing. So you have neuroscience, medical engineering, nursing. I'm not going to read through all of them, but you can see on here there's quite a lot of options. So these are just ways of doing courses that are in healthcare without necessarily being medicine. And these are also good options if you wanted to do graduate entry medicine. So, for example, do your 3 years in 3 years in pharmacy, for example, and then go on to apply to graduate entry medicine. So, these are some good options to keep in mind. Okay, a little bit about Medic Mind support. So, yeah, these are just some of the things that Medic Mind offer. So, one-to-one tutoring, like I mentioned before. UCAT tutors, a lot of you might use them, question banks, progress reports, UCAT live day in courses. So, yeah, a lot about that. like I said, you guys might have used this before, but reapplying, it also might be um useful to like note this down so that when you look back at what kind of went wrong maybe this year, you can say, oh, I can work on that and kind of try and out different stuff like their workshops and one-to-one tutoring, stuff like that. They also have a full application package, and I know they do some workshops in London, and some other workshops they do. So that's just kind of everything's involved in that. And they also do some medicine work experience, as they put here. So practice clinical skills, teaching hospitals. Um, yeah, I think that'd be very useful applying. And also, they do give a certificate of completion, to my knowledge, when you do these things. So it's really good to have that to talk about in the interviews and stuff. Okay. So this is just a little bit about our webinar offer. So get 50% off code. So note this down if you need. I'll give you like a couple seconds. Yeah. Okay. Allied health courses. So like they said, yeah, can be a stepping stone to medicine or a new career option. So like I said before, graduate entry medicine, you can do these courses and then apply after your 3 years to do a graduate entry medicine. That's another 5 years. Something to keep in mind with GEM is it is a lot more competitive and the process is a little bit different. But if you have any questions about that at the end, I'd be glad to answer that. But yeah, so you're eligible for NHS bursary while studying, good career prospects and wide variety of opportunities. And they've given a few other examples of courses in clearing there. So physiotherapy, Bournemouth. So there's quite a few there. So have a look through that if you're interested in healthcare but don't necessarily want to do medicine now. Okay, and these are some other examples of allied health careers. Art therapists, dietitians. I remember doing a work experience where they had music therapists and drama therapists, and it's actually a lot for people who like a lot of people maybe aren't aware of allied health careers. It is very similar to medicine in a way. Like you're still in the healthcare and you still have that direct patient contact and the gratification of like helping patients. You still have that a lot in allied healthcare. I'd argue even like you'd have it as much or even sometimes more than working in medicine because you're so like because when I saw work experience, it was like a long-term inpatients. They see the same patients every day and they're working and seeing their progress. I think that is very rewarding career path. But something to look at and explore more options because I think a lot of people aren't aware of these. So definitely have a look at these. Um, paramedics as well. It's a very good one. So you have a look at this one. Other undergraduate options. So again, this is like showing if you want to do a more science one. So yeah, they have biochemistry. A very common alternative for medicine that people do is biomed. Probably would have heard of biomed. And pharmacy like are alternatives people like to look into as well. Um, so yeah, so have a look at these. Note these down. So this one, don't worry too much about this. This is just kind of showing you that there are different ways to get into medicine and different time paths. You like when I went into medical school, having done a gap year, I was like very like anxious about, oh, I'm gonna be a year older and or maybe like I was just a bit worried where everyone would be. But when I tell you, you go into medicine, you will have a vast range of ages, experiences, people like I'm friends with people who are like a lot older and people who do graduate entry medicine, people who went abroad and they're like 17, they're like a year younger because their course like finishes earlier than the high school. So yeah, vast ways, like so many ways to get into medicine. So this is just kind of showing that there are different alternatives. Medical school with intercalated degree. Nottingham also Nottingham is one of those schools who have an intercalated degree. So if you're curious about that, let me know too later on. And yeah, medical schools with foundational access courses. A lot of you would know you would have applied if you had already, but this is doing a year before medical school, so you'd have 6 years. Graduate entry medicine. Applying as a graduate. So yeah, this is applying for undergraduate medicine degree as a second degree. So I had quite a few friends who applied for medicine with me. And so I chose gap year. A lot of them did a degree and they're finishing now and they're applying to medicine now. So that's what graduate entry medicine is. So yeah, there's no prejudice for mature students. There's a lot of benefits and it's very common. Like a lot of people graduate entry medicine, a lot more than you think. Like when I went in, I thought there wouldn't be many, but there's a lot. So don't feel like prejudiced, like about like don't feel anxious about that going into medical schools, what I mean. Key factors, financing, yeah, balancing your application and third year exam. Yeah, so you'd finish your third year and you'd be in that UCAT cycle. So for example, if I graduated this year, like July, then I would need to do my UCAT in the summer and then do my interviews in this cycle to get into graduate entry medicine. So yeah. Preferred location. These are just things to kind of look at when you're applying. Up-to-date revision materials. Yeah, because the UCAT's constantly changing. I know this year there was a big change compared to when I did it because we had abstract reasoning. I think they took that section out, but make sure you're updated. Include experience, relating your undergraduate back to career skills. Yeah. So when I do one-to-one tutoring, I had some graduate entry students applying, and their interviews are like a lot different than like under when you're applying as an undergrad. Um, it seemed a lot more sciencey, because you have that background. I think they expect you to also kind of talk about that a lot more. So make sure you're relaying that back into medicine and how that kind of helped you, and how after that degree you still want to do medicine. Like why do you still want to, and why not go into other paths, and make strategic applications. So yeah, we can talk about that kind of towards the end, but that's something you would do even applying as undergrad. Okay, reapplication 2026. What went not so well this year? What will you need to consider? Yeah, so if you end up, getting going through clearing tomorrow, or deciding you want to reapply, or deciding you want to do a gap year, it's really important to kind of reflect about your year. See what went wrong. Was it your interviews? Was it your A levels? Was it your UCAT? And it's very important to work on that. So yeah, what will you need to consider? Re-register for UCAS. So when you do a gap year, you have the same account, but you need to make a new like application. So yeah, any questions about that, ask at the end. I can go in more detail. Check receipts with universities accepted. This is like a very important thing. A lot of universities, not a lot, some universities um don't accept resits, or they have higher requirements. So I know, for example, East Anglia I applied for in my gap year, and their requirement for the resit was an A star in my chemistry. So yeah, make sure you check with universities. Um, yeah, but don't be anxious about it. It's not that like a lot of universities do it. It's just that I didn't know going into my gap year, I didn't know any universities actually had these requirements, but there were quite a few that don't accept a reset. So make sure you look into that. Or sometimes it's like limited number of seats for a resit or something like that. So make sure you check that with the university. Literally just go on their website, email them, or sometimes they have it very clear in the like website application requirements area. So definitely research that. Reconsider university choices. That kind of ties into the last point. Like make sure you're giving yourself the best chance and applying to ones that you have the best shot at. Also consider like what you want, because this is where you're going to be living for or 5 years. So make sure you kind of take that into consideration. Plan your reapplication timeline. So yeah, it's very quick. So I had to do my UCAT within 3 weeks. I think I was lucky to get a later date. So got my results, decided I had to do my UCAT, did it in 3 weeks, and then did my interview. So make sure you have a rough timeline in your head. This is when I want to do this. This is when I want to do this. Especially if you're resitting an A level. Another thing I forgot to mention with the second point: check with your school as well if they allow resits. So my school did allow them, but there's a process you have to go through to apply, like as a student, like a returning student to the school and resitting that. So make sure you sort that all out early. So yeah, check resits with your school, or if they don't allow it, other local schools in your area where you can sit the exam, universities. Tutoring, like, do you want to do tutoring? Like for your A level, that was something I didn't really want to do at the time because I wanted to be a bit more independent. But if you do want to, make sure you have a look at that early on. And yeah, very important. Keep positive is very, very draining. Like sometimes to like think about doing another year, especially if you didn't anticipate it. But yeah, make sure to keep positive and the year will go quick and you'll be very busy the whole year. And at the end of the day, just make sure you choose the right alternative for you. So yeah. What to do in your gap year? I'm just gonna talk through these quickly, but I'll leave the questions to the end if you guys want to know more about what I did on my gap year or have any questions. But work, so yeah, you can save for university, build professional skills. I had a job when I did my gap year, and that was really useful for me. Um, Negative to that is it may distract from the application, difficult to find. I think the first point is very important. Like I remember towards my like A level time, like my reset time, they were expecting me to do more shifts and um like you have to make sure you prioritize, like like the process that you applied for. So make sure you do that. Study may be necessary, improves chances, other career options. But look at that. May distract from reapplication, limits university choices. Volunteering, easier to find in relevant areas, build professional skills. Work experience as well. A lot of you will be 17, I think, 17 applying. So well, anyways, I remember when I did my gap year, because I was 18 in my gap year, I was able to do a lot more stuff than I was the first year round. So I got to see a surgery, I got to do some more work experiences. So have a look at that and volunteering as well. A lot more things will open up once you're 18. So have a look at that. Travel, new opportunities, break from study. I know a lot of people who travel. So definitely look into that if that's something you want to do. But it is very expensive, yeah. And make sure, like they said, that it doesn't distract from your application. Okay, securing a place for 2026. So yeah, these stuff we've kind of talked about, strategic applying, um, considering soft skills, can these be improved? Why medicine, work experience. These are kind of like the go-to, like when you apply for medicine, just to have a look at. And what to do next time. So resets, UCAT studying, personal statement that stands out. I know your personal statement changed this year. So look at that and make a plan B just in case. So even attending this webinar is a really good way of like having an idea of what you kind of want to do and like exploring like what options you have. So yeah, make a rough idea in your mind. If things don't turn out, what is like how am I gonna go about it? So yeah. And yeah, the thing at the bottom is very, very important. No prejudice for reapplication. It demonstrates resilience, determination, and passion. Very, very important. I think in my interviews, I remember emphasizing like, oh, I did a gap year because I really, really want to do this. Like this is something I really want to do. And reapplying, I think, like from my personal like experience, it makes you like more like affirmed in your choice that you really want to do this and like more passionate and it shows that you really like really want this. So um don't feel like how do I say don't feel judged for it. That's what I'm saying. Recommended activities. So these are just some things they put on here. Read, use the time. This is for like reapplying, like what you're doing in your gap year. So use the time to widen your knowledge. So they've given some book suggestions here. I think a lot of you would have heard this one, and someone recommended it to me as well. But I read Do No Harm, and that was a really good book. But these are some ones to read. Um, Go on campus visits. So yeah, you can book these directly with the admissions office, and it might help you consider other universities. Yeah, I remember reapplying. I considered a lot more universities than I did the first time round. So make sure you're very open-minded with when you apply. So updated on current research. It's very important. Volunteer and get work experience where you can. Sure you're noting what to do. Go through feedback from universities, interview schools, and what happened this year. That's very important as well. A lot of you, I don't know if it's too late now, but after your interviews, you can get feedback like what went wrong in can I get my interview feedback? So I remember emailing Manchester, I didn't get an offer from them. So I emailed them and they gave me like some feedback on what stations, I didn't do that well in and stuff like that. So that's very, very useful. I think helped me the second time around. From university school, yeah. From school, if you get your A level exams and like one of the A levels didn't go the way you planned, kind of try and like ask the school. Sometimes the school do it for free. You can look at your A level script and see like what mistakes you made. That's really useful. I remember I went through my chemistry one and I kind of went through like, oh, this is where I did this wrong, or this is where I didn't get this mark, and that was really useful for me. So that's something you can request to the school. So email them and try and ask. If they don't do it for free, you have to pay for it sometimes, but um depending on if you know where you went wrong or not, I think it's very useful to kind of ask and see your script. Don't worry about other friends or family doing university, you're on your own path. Oh, this is a very, very important point here. I think like the main thing I felt in my gap year was, oh, I'm behind. Or like my friends are like gone to university and I'm just like back home and I've got another year and like you just feel I felt a bit behind, I remember at that time. But everyone has their own path and everyone's gonna reach their destination at different times. But you're gonna reach there is the main thing. You want to make sure what you're doing is what you actually want to do and you're passionate about. And everything happens for a reason. I know people hate that saying, but I really believe that because I'm so grateful for my gap year. And I think this that was the right path for me. It taught me a lot. And yeah, so don't worry about that. And if you have any questions about that, or you like any like doubts or you're worried about that or how to manage that, put it in the chat at the end and I'll go through them. So this is kind of what I mentioned before. I don't know if this slide repeated, but yeah, so one-on-one tutoring, UCAT course, full application package, medicine work experience. That's just some of the things they put on here. Okay, so this is the London work experience I mentioned before, the Medic Mind 2. So yeah, they do in over 20 competitive careers that include medicine and dentistry, real world career simulations and networking opportunities, which is very important, and top tier career admission and UCAS tutoring. So something to have a look at maybe. There's some pictures from the event. So okay, this is just a QR code. I'll let you guys like a couple seconds to scan this if you want. This is personalized advice with your options. So you can book in a consultation with Medic Mind to kind of go through your options, get some advice. And yeah, they just kind of help you with your feedback and strategic applying. So give a couple seconds if you'd like to scan this. At the end, if you want me to go back to the slide, let me know, I can. Go to the next slide now. So your study abroad options. So okay, Medic Mind partner with a company called Medlix Students. So this is about studying medicine abroad. So a couple of my friends have studied medicine abroad. Um, so there's quite a few options. Malta, Czech, Madrid. I know quite a few ones. So that's just a few from what I know. But yeah, so what this company does is you find a university, so you go through the application process and then you do your studies abroad. So you graduate from that school, and then they kind of help you register back and like find work back into the UK. So a very, very useful company or like a good company to kind of note down if that's something you want to explore. So benefits to studying abroad. This is with Medlink. So their courses are globally recognized. They have flexible admissions requirements. So yeah, I know in my year, um, a couple of my friends didn't get the A level grades, but they were a bit flexible with that for Medlink, so something to consider. Return back home to practice, yeah. So they have a very like smooth process of returning you back into the UK practice. So that's really good. English tour programs. So yeah, affordable tuition fees and living costs. So yeah, obviously studying abroad is very, very expensive, and meddling students do help with that a little bit, help with making that a bit more affordable. So something to note. International student environment. So they do a lot of socials and stuff with, international students who are studying with them. So that's very nice. And less competition for entry compared to, applying to normal medicine or graduate entry medicine. So it is less competitive. So that is something to kind of consider. How Medlink students can help. So free consultation. They do advices on courses, help select universities, life in Europe, document assessment, advice on post-study options. So they kind of give you some general advice and guidance there. Settling in. So this is something that's really nice. They do airport pickup and transportation, helping you with accommodation, living there, setting up a bank account. I think they'd also set up like, like having a mobile account and stuff like that. Application management, professional completion of your documents, submitting your application to the university, preparing you for entrance exams. So yeah, for some universities, um, I think my friend did the one Queen Mary's in Malta. I'm not sure, something like that. But they had an entrance exam, so they do have entrance exams sometimes, but it's less rigorous as it's not like the UK. It's a bit different to that. Full ongoing support, on campus support, social activities organized on campus, support from older students and mentors, 24/7 support available. So, yeah, they really kind of help guide you through the whole process, not just getting into medicine, but also the 5 years there and also getting back into the UK to do your practice, and like a smooth transition into that. So, it's a very, very like nice thing to consider. Like studying abroad is something like a lot of my friends have done and they did really like are enjoying it. So there's a lot to consider. It is very expensive and um because you don't get your student finance loan. So yeah, there's a lot more costs involved whilst studying abroad. Um it's you're kind of away from home, so that's something to consider. Like a lot of my friends they can only come once a year. Some yeah, because it costs so much to come back and the stuff like that. Also, with some abroad courses, it doesn't necessarily start in September. So sometimes it's like they start in January. So I'm not sure about when you need to apply for the January course, but it might be something to consider if you want to like reapply and you do the UCAT. I'm not sure, but have a look into that. If you can do the UCAT, see your marks, and then maybe decide whether you want to like apply for the January course, or if you just want some more time, like it is a big decision. You're going to be there for 5 years, so I know a lot of people like want some time to think about it, and then you can start in January 2026. So that's an option to consider. So Medley students here, inspired and settled by Korean doctors, studied in Europe, leading international students' choice, partnering with over 100 medical universities all over Europe. And yeah, that's just some of the stats they have. So very nice. So yeah, this is another QR code to get in touch with Medlic students and book a free consultation. Um, I'd say try and make the most use of these like consultations they do because you kind of there's no harm in kind of exploring options and seeing what it's like. It's free as well. So I'd say definitely have it like take a picture of this QR code and have a talk. Just see your options, even if it's like something you're like you don't really want to do. I think it's something nice to like consider as an option. So yeah, I finished very early. I think I might have zoomed through all the PowerPoints. But what I'll do is I will like let everyone on put their questions in the group chat if they have any now. And then depending on how many there are, I'll go back and explain some of like my gap year stuff and my clearing stuff a bit more in detail. So if anyone wants to put any questions in the group chat now, they have any. Yeah, yeah. Let me go back to that slide then, whilst if anyone has any questions in the meantime. I'll just keep that slide open on the clearing courses. I think they mean this. No, no, no. They mean the medicine one. So this one, guessing. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let me go through. I'll let you guys put more questions if you need. Dentistry onshore for clearing. Okay. Okay, so yeah, like they put the dentistry on a bit unsure about the clearing for dentistry. This is more kind of catered towards medicine. Okay, because there's quite a few, I'll go through these first, and then I can go back and explain anything if you want. So let me start with this one. Can you talk about the schools you applied for? Yeah. Okay, let me start with that one then. Talk about the schools you applied for. So yeah, I applied for in my first year, Southampton, Sheffield, Manchester, and St. George's. Yeah, so those are my four. So I got three offers, and then Manchester, I didn't get that one. So my firm was Southampton, and they needed three A's. So that was the one I applied for. Um, then this year I did, not this year, like my second year, I did Nottingham, UEA, Nottingham, UEA, Sheffield again, and then what other one did I do? Oh no, Nottingham, UEA, Sheffield, Aston? Yeah, yeah. So I got all my offers the second time round. Um, Nottingham, UEA, Sheffield, Aston, yeah. So if you want to go in a bit more detail about what you want me to talk about, if you want me to talk about Nottingham in particular, I can talk about that. Um, but yeah, those were the ones I applied to. So UEA needed an A star when you reset. Nottingham was three A's, Aston was also three A's, and so was Sheffield. So yeah, Sheffield also had, to my memory, Sheffield tell you the interview, they tell you give you a list of the questions before you go for your interview. So yeah, I think it was Sheffield, but have a look at that. That was something to do. But yeah, if you just want to put more detail about what you want me to talk about, I can kind of say that because um I don't know what in specific you want me to talk about. Otherwise, I'll just go on for ages. Um, do any universities offer dentistry place and clearing? Like they said, not too sure about dentistry places and clearing. Let's look here. So this is all kind of medicine related, isn't it? Um, Yeah, I'm not too sure about dentistry actually. You might want to have a look. But dent clearing in general is kind of very hard to find. This is a list of potential clearing options, but it's very, very rare kind of to find a clearing option in medicine. It'd be very quick. Can you talk a bit about more about your experience of reseeing your chemistry, please? Yeah, so I got a B in my chemistry. So yeah, so when I found it on results day, my other two grades, so I got two A stars and a B. So I went into my school and they were like, call the university and ask them. So I called the university and asked like, oh, I've like, got two grades higher. Can I like, is it okay if I like can still get in? And they were kind of like, no. So called all my four universities. They were kind of like they gave me some other options, I think. Um I think Southampton gave me biomed and stuff like that. So yeah. And then did some clearing, got Swansea to do applied medicine, but I didn't really want to do that. Um and then yeah, so then I was kind of in like a rapid thing to like okay, I'm gonna do a gap year. So because I didn't want to study abroad because I thought it was too expensive. Um, so I reapplied, contacted my school, and they were like, "Yeah, you can resit here. This is the process." Made a new UCAS application, and then right away got my UCAT done because that's like it was in that summer. So I was like, okay, got my like UCAT resources, started doing UCAT, got a nice UCAT score. Then yeah, then is when I had that break. So after UCAT is when I had the break of okay, now I have some time to think about where I want to apply. I think I visited a couple universities and then applied, and then it was a big break. Yeah, while you wait for your interviews, I was like, okay, like, what do I do now? Because I want to revise for my chemistry, but I also don't want to like start like crazy and I burn out. So I got a job. I worked at Costa. I did some work experience, surgical experience, some volunteering. What else did I do? That was a bit more about my gap year, so I can talk about that more. But Yeah, and then my chemistry research, I did the next year. So I just went into the school. So everyone else who's research like doing their A levels at that time, I just go and research with them. Um, yeah, that was kind of my experience of researching chemistry. Um, yeah, if you have any more specific questions, let me know. How long do I have? Okay, I have some time. Is there a common website for all hotline numbers for universities? Um, I think the complete uni guide might have one, like a hotline number. Okay, yeah, you know where I got mine? I think I got mine off Student Room. Yeah, that's where I got mine. Go on Student Room because there's normally chats for a lot of you might know chats for each university and their like options. I think there's a separate like clearing like chat for on Student Room. So go on that and there's normally like a big list. And I literally just copied, pasted on a Word document and I printed it out and I had it like right next to me. I was like allocating my parents which one to call and stuff like that. So that's why it's him. Can you call a university that you're rejected from for clearing? Um, call a university that you were yeah, yeah. Yes. I did call Manchester, was rejected from. But yeah, because basically you're gonna call unis for clearing. It's very rare to get a medicine offer from clearing, but you're more likely to get it from a university you apply to and go an interview or you applied to whatever, compared to a university you didn't apply to, you didn't get an interview from. Why would they prioritize you over other candidates who applied to them? So that was the logic I went with. So yeah, definitely call a university you rejected from. That's fine. Try and call your off the or university you got the offer from first though. Okay, in the case you had to miss your offer for medicine, would it be better to take a gap year reset and then reapply, or is it better to try a first year transfer option through medical related undergrad degree? Also, would you have enough time to prepare for the UK in case you have to book it after results day? So yeah, so there's not like would it be better? Like it's really up to you what you want to do. I the only thing that I was so with Swansea that I had the option to integrate into medicine, I just kind of wanted to start off like in medicine. Like I didn't really want to start off in another degree. And also, with a lot of courses that kind of have a transfer option, sometimes it's like you need to get a grade. So you need to get like a specific grade, or you have to do an exam and get a specific mark. And I kind of thought it would be bad to reapply rather than compete with people who like are also like trying to go into medicine and like um I don't know, does that make sense? Like rather do an exam that I've done before, like done my UCAT, I've done my interview, I know what it's like. And I also have my research, which is gonna like your A level grades kind of stick with you, don't they? So like I'd rather get that like up rather than do it like exam that I wasn't unsure about. So that's kind of what I would say. I'd say for me it was a gap year, but it's about what you want to consider. Um, the good thing with undergrad degree is like you're going into the university like already. So that's one thing. Would you have enough time? Yeah. So like I said, I booked mine after results day because I only found out on results day. I think I booked it on the day itself, but there were quite a few options available. I think the most busy UCAT time is earlier on or in the summer. So in September, there's quite a few free. Is it September or late August? I'm not sure, but it would be September. There's quite a few. So yeah. If my results are marginally below the requirement, is there any way I could convince my firm offer to wait until I remark? Yeah, so yeah, you can. So I think if let's say you get one like grade below and you're like only a couple marks off and you want to remark, call them, call the university, and tell them I'm gonna remark. Like, are you able to wait? Um, Stuff like that. And then see what they say from there. The main thing I'd also say is even if you call, email them, especially if they give you an offer. Like if they say something on call, like, yeah, we can do an offer, or yeah, you can do this. Get an email from them so you have it in writing. At the end of the day, on call, you can say that, oh, they said this to me, but there's no proof of them saying it to you. Whereas on email, if they email it to you, you have that the evidence there, so you can say they said this to me, so this is this. So yeah, if your results are marginally below, definitely call them up and email them as well. Sometimes they wait till you remark. for the UCAS application, can I use the same personal statement that I used for the first time? No, you can't. So you have to use another personal statement. I think it counts like you plagiarize yourself, I guess, but it counts like plagiarism. So you have to make a new personal statement. But honestly, like I think that's a good thing anyway. Like you can talk a lot more about what you didn't know in your reapplying, like your gap year. So try and get something different done. Go and like do things that you couldn't do the first year. If I miss by more than one grade, can I still do retakes? Yeah, I know. And my friend reset, I don't know if that's a word, but she had to reset two of her grades, so bio and chem. You can reset more than one. And um I think universities, yeah, again, this is important. Make sure you check with the universities what requirements they have, because some universities might not let you retake one, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them, if they do allow you, they will allow multiple. Who can the person writing for my reference letter in reapplication? Um, who can be the person writing for my reference letter in reapplication? Um, I do you mean like I think I'm guessing you mean the UCAS reference? Yeah, so my one was a teacher in my school. I just emailed them and I said, I'm reapplying. Are you able to give me a reference? And they did it for me. Um, I think, well, other than your family and friends, it can be anyone professional, but I definitely would recommend getting a teacher to get it done. So yeah. Thank you, no worries. When do the grade boundaries come out? How will I know if I'm a few marks off when I call the universities? Grade boundaries come out. I don't know if it's changed. So anyone put if it's changed. Well, when I did it, which was 2 years ago, um, the grade boundaries come out in the morning. So if your results come out um I think it's 9:30. When your results come out 9:30, grade boundaries come out at like 8. So I think yeah, so the first thing I did, I checked the grade boundaries before my results. I like went on all the like OCR, AQA, whatever. Went checked the grade boundaries and I was like, okay, like um this is the mark I need to get roughly. And like I had an idea. From then I kind of had an idea of okay, um like what are my options? Like, okay, I might get an A or I might get an A star or like that. But you can't be certain. Like, don't fixate on your grade boundaries. I also would say like another thing like to consider when you check your grade boundaries it is really stressful because there's an hour gap between your grade boundaries coming out and your results. So in the hour, you like I was thinking like, okay, like will I get this or I got this question wrong, so I probably got an A or I probably got a B or all of this. But so if that's something you don't want before your results, don't look at your grade boundaries until after your results. Um, but yeah, because obviously when you're like when you're getting a remark, it's not a process of like who's the quickest and like you have to do it immediately. You can take your time and like think about remarking. So there's no harm in checking grade boundaries later. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to check it earlier, so I did. Yeah, thank you, no worries. Will we get to know the acceptance email from uni before UCAS? Yeah, so depends on the university, but I'm pretty sure. Actually, no, it doesn't depend on the university. It's UCAS, right? Will we get to know the acceptance email from the university before UCAS? Yeah, so like I said, it depends on the university. For Nottingham, I got my acceptance email. So for the order I got myself is I got my UCAS email saying, "Oh, congratulations, this is this," like saying I got accepted, and then I got my Nottingham email, and then finally is when my UCAS updated to say like, "Oh, my offer was like successful." So, because I guess the UCAS page loads for a while. That's probably why it takes some time. But yeah, that's the order I did mine. Thank you. No worries, no worries. Okay, any more questions? Can you talk? Oh, there was a message. I can't see it now. Okay, I think that's all the questions. How much have I got? I've got 10 minutes left. I finished it very, very early. Okay, let me see how many people are still on here. Does anyone else have any questions? Want to talk about gap year? Or is there any slides you want to go over again whilst clearing? anything like that, please feel free to put it in the chat. If there's no questions, no worries. If there's no questions, and I'll keep the slides open that well. Okay. Oh, let's see. Any more tips for clearing conversations? And then say it also to get job in the NHS. Okay, clearing conversations. Um, okay, so clearing conversations. First, I think like they're gonna get like so many calls like on that day, and so many students saying, I missed this, I missed that. So make sure you're from the start, you're kind of clear. Like I had an offer at university. This is the grade I got. Um, is it possible to do this? I think being clear will kind of signpost to them and make it easier for them to kind of be like, okay, this is this. So that don't be scared if you get like emotional or anything. Like I remember like in a couple of my clearing calls, like I cried like so much, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I'm crying. And I mean, most of the time are very, very nice, and like, they'll be like, it's okay. It's normal to feel emotional, like there's something that you worked really, really hard for. And if it doesn't go your way sometimes, especially suddenly, that's like so normal to have like a response to that. So if you get emotional, don't feel bad. Like just kind of be like, okay, can I collect myself? Sorry. And then start again. So yeah. Would you say it's useful to get a job in the NHS during a gap year? Um, would you be sorry? I was saying, would you also say it's useful to get a job in the NHS during a gap year? Yeah, it's very useful. I think if you can get a job in the NHS, it's really would be really, really useful to do. The only thing I would consider is it would be a lot of your time taken away from your reapplication. So it's about balancing that. If you can balance it, yeah, it'd be amazing to talk about in your interviews. But make sure you don't fall in the trap as well of like them asking you in the interviews, like, okay, so why didn't you just do that job? Like, why do you want to reapply to medicine? But if you can, yeah, over a job, I would personally say try and get work experience or like do like a week or like something like that rather than do a job, commit to a job. And then you have your UCAT you have to do again, your interview. And then if you've got a research, you've got to do a research. So that's a lot of stuff. You don't want to jeopardize that. Okay, do I need to decline insurance offer before calling universities for clearing? Okay, one sec. Do I need to decline insurance offer before calling other universities for clearing? I think so, yeah. I think you need to go on the UCAS and like decline your offer, like reject your offer or something like that, and then you can call them. Before you do that though, don't do that first. Like call the universities, ask them about clearing, blah blah. If they give you an option that you like, they will guide you yourself. Like, okay, so you need to go on the UCAS, you need to decline your insurance, then you need to we'll give you an offer on there, and then you have to accept it. So they'll guide you through it. Don't decline your offer before you do that, because otherwise that might go and then you can't do anything. Do you have any tips for improving the UCAT score the second time? Yeah. My UCAT score the second time, so I got 150 higher the second time. So, and I had less time doing it. So I think number one, doing it the second time, a lot of the time you will do better because you just have that experience of like going and doing the exam. Um, Improving your UCAT score second time. I did a lot of like what's it called? Games. Like you know how like you have online websites about like reading speed. I just do like games on reading speed, just improve my reading speed. And like games on calculator, like trying to be quick with that. But second time you'll know if you've done the UCAD this time, which you guys have, is just mocks. Like last time I remember I was a lot slower to get into mocks. I was like, let me like do practice questions and then do mocks. But this time I kind of just did like a mock a day. As I practice, I'll do like 2 hours practice and then like a 2 hour mock at the evening, like that. So yeah. Were the UCAD requirements different when we applying? No, they're the same. So depending on the year, so maybe like next year the overall like cohort get a better grade, so like that. But other than that, it's not different for doing a gap year or like doing it the same year. There's no difference. The same. Only when your graduate entry it's a bit higher, I'm pretty sure. 5 minutes left. When do the clearing lines close? The clearing lines close. So I don't know how many hours they go for on the day. I think it's like till evening, till 5, I'm pretty sure. But they go for a couple days. I remember I called on that day and I called like I think I called like a couple times that week on different days. Not the same university, but like different ones. So yeah. I missed a few first. Did cover animal black hearing? Yeah, like they've answered here. Recordings will be sent. Takeaways from the meeting. Yep. Search clearing hotline. Universities. Yes, yes, yes. That's a good summary. I think that's it. So we only have 4 minutes left, so I might as well wrap up here. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to put it on. We have a couple minutes left. If anyone wants me to put a slide up just right now, if you want to see, I can put it up. Um, yeah. And if anyone wants like if you are reapplying and you want to do one-to-one tutoring, um, yeah, have a look on the on the website. I do one-to-one tutoring as well, so I do some stuff on there. So have a look and yeah, stay behind if you have any more questions. But that's the end of the webinar. And there will be a recording sent after this as well. So yeah, it's the end. I'll stay here behind if anyone has any more questions, but if you would like to leave. No worries. One more thing really quick before if anyone leaves. Okay, 1 second, 1 second. Before anyone leaves, please go through the other allied health options really quickly. Let me just show you this slide again. Where is it? This one. Just want to reiterate here, like they said, these options, like it's the same as going into graduate entry medicine. You can do these and then go back into medicine. So it's not like you're going to be permanently like a dietitian or permanently a drama therapist. You can decide to do that if you want, or you can go back into medicine if that's something you like. Can you put up the steps of the clearing slide? Yeah, sure, I can. But like they said, the recording will be sent after this webinar if you would like to look up. Think you mean this one? This one's the one you want about, yeah. And good luck to everyone for tomorrow. I know it's a very stressful experience, so good luck. But everything will work out eventually. So make sure you like explore your options and well done for like having a look at this webinar and like being prepared for that. So yeah, no worries. I think there's a few people behind, so let me know if you have questions. I'll just stay here until a little bit longer.